the best thing about social media is that it brings us closer together. I actually did a Lair of Darkness stream yesterday for the people that weren't able or didn't necessarily know about me streaming, and it was really fun to get together and hear all of you guys' ideas for the Lair of Darkness. We came away with a pretty solid Infernoid build, but I took it a step further, and while watching Fate Apocrypha, which if you guys have never seen any of the Fate series, I would not recommend it to you guys first. It's a decent one, but I took it a little further, and I improved on the Infernoid build I put on, or I showed you guys in the stream. Now, here is where the downfall of social media, for me at least, comes. I got a little cocky, posted it on Facebook, and was like, hey, if this gets 50 likes, I'll do the deck profile the following day. And sure enough, within less than 3 hours, it got 50 likes. So if you guys want to make my life a living hell, go ahead and add me on Facebook, and I'll be posting stuff like that more often. I like to communicate with you guys. Sometimes it might seem like I'm saying something else, but keep in mind, I'm just more of a blunt guy. But I like every single one of you guys. And if you guys want to see more of Yu-Gi-Oh! News, because I don't necessarily post a lot on my channel, then go ahead and add my like page or like my like page, and you'll have a lot of news there. But without further ado, let's talk about this Infernoid deck. I think it is a deck that is really good into this format. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't, or if it topped Mythos, or even got a significant place in Mythos, because the deck allows you to tribute your opponent's monsters for your Infernoid decks. Now, for the people that can't afford Infernoids, yes, we always have those budget options. In fact, I'm going to be giving you guys 3 deck profiles in one. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, then go ahead and destroy that subscribe button. But more importantly, you probably want to Infernoid Tiara that notification bell, because fusion summoning that card means you just too strong. Without further ado, I present to you 3 deck profiles in one, in a competitive Lair of Darkness Infernoid deck profile. Alright, so unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to give you stats, but I am going to give you 3 deck profiles, and I'm going to explain thoroughly why I run every single card and why I run so many qualities in certain cards that I don't run. I do see a lot of posts down below in the comment sections, hey CaliEffect, why don't you run this? Why don't you run this? Or you forgot about this. More often than not, I didn't forget about it. There's a reason why I didn't run it, and sometimes I can't go through it, but I'm going to try to go through every single card in this build and why I don't run certain cards. So for the Lair of Darkness monsters, 1 copy of Darkest Diablos. This card's really good, but in this particular build, I don't want to see more than 1, mainly because it'll already serve its purpose every time it hits the field. The first thing is that it is an out-to masterpiece, the Ascending Draco Slayer, because it can't be targeted and it can't be tributed, so they can't Monarch Stormforce it if they decide to play that, and they can't Kaiju it if they ever play Kaijus. And also, when Diagram isn't on the field, or when their Masterpiece is unaffected by spells, he's bigger than Masterpiece, and Masterpiece can't destroy him, so he's extremely powerful card in that aspect, so he does allow me to handle that situation. But even more importantly, every time I tribute a monster on my side of the field, I can summon him from my hand or graveyard, and then I can tribute a dark monster on the field, and my opponent is forced to lose a card from their hand, whether they place it to the top or the bottom of their deck. I feel that is an extraordinarily powerful card, but in multiples inside of this particular variant, it will brick. 3 copies of Lady Lameth. This card is just really good. I hate it and I love it because every time you play this card, your deck does become, in theory, a little weaker. And then by the time you draw the 3rd one, you just can't play it because I only run 4 traps inside of this build. But it's really important for searching, literally, it's a free search of Void Feast. If you summon this card and tribute it, you search Void Feast. And, I mean, that's good. This deck really focuses on getting, this particular build really focuses on bringing out a Void, or your Void Feast combo, which means you're going to summon 2 Decatrons and a Patrulia, or being able to utilize your Void cards as optimally as possible. And Lady Lilith actually allows us to search into that. Next is 3 copies. I hope I don't butcher this card's name. Is Arima, the Wicked Warden. And this card's really good. I love it because it's a terraforming. You can discard it to search your Lair of Darkness, and its secondary ability, you can tribute a dark monster on your side of the field to draw a card, or search your Diablos, the Lord of whatever his last name is, Diablos, the Lord of the Lair, my apologies, from your deck to your hand. But the best thing about it is that it can rid your Infernoid monsters from your board. Like, let's say if you have this monster in the field and you would like to draw a card or search your Darkness Diablos, you can tribute your other Infernoid monster, to search it while Lair of Darkness is on the side of the field because all your monsters are dark. Or you can even tribute your opponent's monsters to draw a card or search the Diablo. So it's a really good spot removal card. It's also extremely good at searching exactly what you need. It's essentially one of the better cards in the deck. And keep in mind your Infernoid monsters. If you control monsters over the level of rank of 8, you can't summon any more Inferno monsters, so this could free up your board. The last non-Infernoid monster that we do play is Grinder Golem. And I don't understand why people, when we were on stream, people were like, take this card out, and I don't understand it. I admit, I did play it wrong, but this card is just bananas for the deck. Especially for the Infernoid variant. Mainly reason because at worst case scenario, this card is a Akashic Magician with 2 tokens. At best case scenario, it can be a Saryuja with Firewall Dragon and more Link monsters. It's just a really nutty card inside of this build. When you combine it with Antra, you can basically get 6 tokens to your side of the field to do whatever you want with. And that's just really powerful for the deck, being able to link summon like crazy, and then keeping the fact that your link monsters don't count towards your level limit, and you can still tribute it off for Rima's effect, for Livlet's effect, and for Diablos' effect when you have Lair of Darkness on your side of the field. It's just an amazing card. You can tribute it off with your Inferno monsters too. So giving this card to your opponent isn't necessarily giving it to your opponent. That's it for the Infernoid monsters at 8 monsters, 3 Lair of Darkness, 3 Lair of Darkness monsters, and 1 Grinder Golem. I don't play hand traps inside of this build, and I'll be able to explain that a little later. And also, I don't play the other new Lair of Darkness monster. I forget his name, because while I do think he's a decent card, he just doesn't fit into the strategy of this particular build. I already have cards to tribute off my opponent's cards. Through 2 copies of Anuku, 2 copies of Deviati. These cards are really important to the Infernoid strategy. Running 3 of each is just too much, you'll clog. And running 1 of each, you don't get its full potential because you want to use 1 set, 1 of each, for the Decatron combo to summon 2 Decatrons and gain the effect to negate spells or traps and monster effects. And then you want to use the other card, or the other set, for your Void Imagination combo to be able to summon Infernoid Tiara, which is another win condition all on its own. If you summon Tiara, you're probably not losing that game. I just don't see it happening. 2 copies of Infernoid Seismus. Now, Seismus is superior to Atando for a couple of reasons. You're going to see Void Feast from your deck quite a few times, especially with, your Void Vanishments, with your Liliths. You're going to see it at least twice. And being able to maximize its abilities when, you have dead or, cards like, let's say if you already milled these, or somehow they got into your hand or whatever, being able to still activate Void Feast is really important. The next thing is that Seismus actually has a superior effect than Atando. Granted, Atando can attack 2 monsters, but Seismus is non-targeting banishment. I just can't get past that. And if you guys do play Galaxy Tomahawk, they are 7s to make your Tomahawk combo. I tried to leave as much room as possible for you guys to get as creative as you want within this deck. 1 copy of Infernoid Jet. This card's pretty mandatory for the deck because it's the 6 that allows you to summon your 2 Decatrons. You summon Decatron, 2 Decatron plus this. 2 copies of Infernoid Patrula. This card's also an awesome card. Allows you to rid your opponent's back row, but keep in mind, all of your Infernoid monsters, when Lair of Darkness on the field, instantly become, you contribute your opponent's monster to either banish a card from the graveyard, negate a spell or trap. So that's pretty good. It's not really much else to say about that. And I like being able to destroy my opponent's back row as well as tribute their monsters to banish cards in their graveyard. 2 copies of Infernoid Harmodic. And Infernoid Harmodic is basically the exact opposite of Patrula. Instead of destroying spells and traps, it destroys monsters, the same effect. And then 2 copies of another mini star of the deck is Infernoid Antra. If you draw Antra and Grinder Golem, a way to summon Antra and Grinder Golem, you're going to at the very least, make Saryuja, Firewall Dragon, and mill 4 cards from your deck. It was just too good to pass up. And then lastly, to cap off the Infernoids is, of course, the most important card of the deck, Infernoid Decatron. Being able to send any of your Infernoids to the graveyard, increase its level, and then change his effects to whatever monster you send. That's it for the Infernoid monsters at 16. I really wanted to keep it at 16, even though I don't run any mill cards whatsoever, like inside of this particular build. Getting off your Void Feast is probably the most important thing to the deck. And having enough Infernoid monsters to compensate after you, or if you don't get Void Feast, or after you resolve your Void Feast, is also extremely important. So I thought 16 was a solid number. For the spells, 3 copies of Lair of Darkness. Oh my god, this card is saucy. This is the reason why we play the deck. Basically, all monsters on the field become dark. And then you can tribute your opponent's monsters when you activate your Infernoid monsters. It's pretty important. Don't get me wrong. You can play the deck without it. Like if your opponent Curse Seal of Forbidden Spell you. Oops, did I say a mystery card too soon? Curse Seal of Forbidden Spell you can't play anymore. So it's still a really good card in that aspect. Or your deck's really good, but it allows you to basically do that. The next thing is that it gives you tokens if you tribute on your turn. It gives your opponent tokens if you tribute on your opponent's turn. Those tokens can get a little problematic, but you can just link away with them before you start summoning your Inferno monsters. Next to the Void cards, 3 copies of Void Banishment. This card's saucy. It searches your Void spells and trap cards. 3 copies of I'm sorry. This is a thing that people don't really realize. If your Inferno monster battles your opponent's monster, you can send this card to the graveyard and banish both of those monsters. So it does have an out, like it does provide another ability, another out to your opponent's cards. A lot of people just forget about that. 3 copies of Void Imagination. If you can resolve this card, you're probably going to win, especially if your opponent has monsters on their extra deck, meaning you can send up to 6 Inferno monsters from your deck to your graveyard. That's it. And the reason why I don't play, or for the Void cards, the reason why I don't play hand traps is because I play 3 copies of Called by the Grave. Now, there's so many reasons why I feel that Called by the Grave is a great card, and don't get me wrong, I left a lot of room for you guys to wiggle. You can drop the Called by the Graves, and if you hate Grinder Golem or a Lilith for your Cypher and Gear Gammas, they're awesome cards, but I'm going to explain to you why I feel Called by Grave is a stronger candidate for your deck. Okay, so first of all, the reason why players run Cypher and Gear Gamma is because you don't want your Void Banishments interrupted, you don't want your Arimas interrupted, you won't want your Void Feasts interrupted, and all those cards are cards that you want to use on your turn. You can't use them on your opponent's turn. And Gamma is best effective when you can use cards or have no board and use cards to disrupt your opponent and your opponent's turn as well as yours. Called by the Grave already solves that situation for us. I think the only card that we can't necessarily be, or that we can still be hurt by is Gamma. And I don't really mind my opponent gamming me on my turn because my Inferno monsters have secondary abilities to tribute off their cards and stuff like that. If you just get hit by the Gamma, you get hit by the Gamma. But getting hit by Ash Blossom, Ogre, and all that other stuff can be Called by the Grave. And now your opponent is stuck with extra Called by the Graves or with extra Ogres and extra Ash Blossoms, which is why I don't run extra Ash Blossoms, because if I Call by the Grave, they're Ash Blossom. I can't Ash Blossom on their following turn. The next thing is bricks. Drawing the Gamma combo or drawing Gammas is a brick. I've noticed also when playing against or when testing, we were drawing the Gammas and like having them sit in our hand. Like it was great to have like, go through our Void Banishments with, no worries or anything. But then afterward, it just sat on our hand because we kept the established board and kept tributing our opponent's monsters, not ours. So it didn't feel good. It didn't feel good just to hold the brick. And Called by the Grave is really good against Lair of Darkness decks. It's like awesome against Lair of Darkness decks. Your opponent discards that Arima, Called by the Grave it. Now they can't summon Arima to tribute it. You can banish Darkest Diablos and now they can't get off their cards. In an Infernoid mirror match, it's just awesome. You banish your opponent's Inukus and Deviatis and their Decatrons become completely useless. So I felt that this was just a stronger card. And then the next card I'm going to play, it doesn't get, hit by 1 copy of Monster Gate. You can tribute your opponent's monster when Lair of Darkness is on Monster Gate. But even more importantly, Monster Gate will hit one of your Cypher and Gear guards, whether it's Gamma or Driver, and summon it to your side of the field. Now, I'm not saying that's a terrible card to hit to your side of the field, but you want to go through as many cards as possible, especially if you're getting off a free Monster Gate. And that's why I felt that the hand traps were kind of subpar in this particular build. And then lastly, 1 copy of 1-for-1 to summon your 3rd Decatron to your side of the field. That's it for the spells. And keep in mind, this is the 40-card variant of the Lair of Darkness. I will be showing you a 60-card variant and a budget Lair of Darkness deck profile. Lastly, for the traps, is 3 copies of Void Feast. The most important card of the deck, as you guys can see, I run 0 mill cards. Zero mill cards in my main deck. So getting to this card as fast as possible is going to be important. And then Eradicator Epidemic Virus. This card is just stupid good. If you have Lair of Darkness on the field, you can tribute your Infernoid monsters like Void Feast, Eradicator Epidemic Virus, Lair of Darkness. I don't see your opponent winning that game at all. Period. They're just it just doesn't. I just don't humanely see them unless you're just eradicating for traps and then negating the wrong cards. It's a blowout. And this card is also the reason why we can search with Lilith twice. So that's it for the main board. For the extra deck, I'm going to kind of blaze through them. 1 copy of Tiara, best card in the deck. 3 copy of Intis. When you summon Tiara, you send 3 Intis to the graveyard to destroy 3 cards your opponent controls. Saryuja, you can make this card pretty easily. Firewall, another card that you can make easily with Grinder Golem. Borolo Dragon, I don't often make this card. You can take it out for your Tomahawk, or you can take it out for your Dark Strike Fighter for the budget players. This card is the most important card, or the most important link. You're going to make this card like crazy because all your monsters are Fiend, except for the Dragon. So, you know, it helps you clear space. Do a little Chimera for when you don't have Lair of Darkness on the field. Proxy Dragon, really good link too. Sometimes I use it to make Firewall pointing to 2 monsters instead of 1, the Sarjuya and the Proxy Dragon. Akashic Magician, really important. 2 Link Spiders, this is extremely important because your Grinder Golem is going to give you a lot of tokens. You want to make monsters with them. 1 Link Karibo, because that's how you make Akashic. You summon Grinder Golem to your opponent's side of the field. The first one makes a Link Karibo. The second one makes a Link Spider. These guys are both Cybers, make Akashic Magician. And then Cyframe Lord Omega. We necessarily don't have a lot of ways to summon into it, but you can send it off to the graveyard with your Infernoid Tiara and then get cards back. So you guys could run Galaxy Tomahawk. The board is already set for you to run Tomahawk instead of Omega or whatever you want. You can also run Dark Strike Fighter or Black Rose Dragon. Those are all really solid choices. And I really hope you guys enjoyed the 40 cards. So let me show you the 60 card variant. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so the 60 card variant literally voids everything that you thought about with the 40 card version. This deck is a lot different. It's an entirely different animal, and I had to address it because I know a lot of players like to play 60 card Infernoid as opposed to the 40 part. If you ask me which one's more competitive, I'm going to tell you the 40 card variant or any variant leader closer to 40 cards because this one isn't necessarily a layered build. And allow me to explain, for the Lair of Darkness monsters, I run 3 copies of Lilith. That's it. I don't run I don't run any other card from the Lair of Darkness structure deck. I don't run Diablos. I don't run Lair of Darkness. I don't run this. I don't run that. And because the 60 card variant is more focused on mill, and I don't necessarily care about, or it's not really advantageous to mill those certain cards from my deck to my graveyard, I want to be able to activate and resolve Grass's Greener as fast as possible or Void Feast. And Lilith does serve that purpose. It actually gets me some really awesome mill cards inside of Void Feast. And another card that I play, it is a card that I can resolve all 3 times inside of the 60 card variant, which I'm extremely excited about. I think that this deck is really, really good though. So that's it, 3 Lilith. Next is 2 Anuku. I've already explained it. 2 Deviati. 2 Seismus, 1 Jet, 3 Petrulia. You guys can take out a Petrulia because I also run 3 Petrulia and 3 Harmodic. You guys can take out 1 and 1 if you want to run a Tondo. I opted against it because I think these guys are more Xseed centric. They allow me to make better Xseed boards. 2 Antra. This is really good in the deck because, you know, Decatron can become 3, and then you can summon your other your Harmodic to your side of the field, and then you can make a Gante and mill 3 additional cards. That's it for all of the Infernoid monsters. As you guys can see, we run a little more Infernoid monsters because it's a bigger deck, and we want to get these Infernoid monsters to the graveyard as fast as possible. Next, we actually do run a little bit of a Lightsworn engine. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I do like milling cards. And that's what this deck is really focused on. So 3 copies of Raiden and 1 Wolf. The Wolf is just another target, and if you get to mill it, it's a free plus. You get it to your side of the field. Now you can make Link and Xseed plays with, so it's really good. 2 copies of Fairy Tale Snow. I don't think this card is as powerful as it used to be, mainly because if I do predict it correctly, Called by the Grave is going to start seeing more play with Infernoid seeing more play, so Fairy Tale Snow is literally just going to get obliterated. You're going to banish 7 cards and you're going to lose you're going to lose your Fairy Tale Snow. So it's going to suck. But ultimately, it's still a pretty decent card. It's your trap on your opponent's turn. 3 Psyframe Gear Gamma and Psyframe Driver. Now, I do run this inside of the 60 card variant because I want to see some type of form of card to stop my opponent from stopping me. So I run the 3 Called by the Grave and the Psyframe engine in here. And then lastly is, of course, Grinder Boy. He's just an awesome card. That's going to sum up all of the monsters. I think I did a pretty fair job of explaining them in the last deck profile, so I don't necessarily need to explain them this time around. And for cards that I'm missing inside of this deck, I can't think of any, but if I'm not playing them, it's just probably not as optimal. I want this deck to be consistent over everything. So for the spells, of course, we run the 3 Banishment and 3 Imagination. We also run 3 Charger Light Brigade and 3 Solar Recharge. We want to get deeper and deeper and deeper into our cards as much as possible. And to be honest, you're probably never going to see 3 of your Solar Recharges. You're probably going to never see 3 of your Solar your Charger Light Brigades. If you see 3 and 3 though, you'll win. I don't see you. You're gonna mill 9, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16. You're gonna mill 16 cards if you see all 6 of those for an opening hand. So I just don't see you not, you know, going off from there. So that's pretty good. 2 copies of Pot of Desires. You're going to get a completely different hand. This card's really nasty good. It doesn't matter. The banish 10, the draw 2 is the most important thing. 3 copies of Left Arm Offering. I don't like this card. I hate this card. Because you activate it and you get Ash Blossom and then you cry in a corner. So I hate that aspect. But it's pretty important because you need to get that grass is greener from your deck to your hand. And then, of course, 3 Called by the Grave. Again, this deck runs a lot of cards that are Ash targets, that are just targets, and you can Call by the Grave it or Gamma it to your so liking. 1 that grass is greener, and then 1 for 1. That's going to sum up the spells, and it's quite a few spells. I hope you guys enjoyed what we did. Basically, the summits of this deck, or the premise of this deck is just to mill as many cards as possible. If you open your Lilith, go ahead and use your Lilith to get your Void Feast combo, or you can get this other great trap card that I am playing. So of course we run 3 copies of Void Feast, an instant target for Lilith, and then another card that I'm bringing back to the deck, a card that's really good now because of Lilith, is 3 copies of Needlebug Nest. Now, in your sideboard, I would side Fiend Comedian for the mirror match because Fiend Comedian either banishes your opponent's entire graveyard after they grass you, or, you know, it gets rid of their entire product, or you can send as many cards from your deck to your graveyard, which gets you another win. So that's great. Opening 2 Needlebug Nest is sauce. Yes, it'll cost you the turn, but it'll probably win you the game being able to mill 10 cards. And Lilith allows you to get a free Needlebug Nest from your deck to your hand. And then your second one can come however if you draw it, or if you can resolve another Lilith. Whatever you do to get the second Lilith to your effect, or however you do it. It's also another target for Lilith and allows me to access Lilith all 3 times. I felt that this was an amazing build for the deck. Now for extra deck, the only cards that I want to talk to you guys about is obviously Minerva and Dante. You want to run those into your deck, obviously. There are some cards in the original extra deck that are just not as useful as they once were, like Master King Archfiend, not as useful. And you guys can do whatever you please with your extra deck. I'm not going to give you guys a full extra deck because I think you guys understand the build or the way that we're going. And if I do give you guys a full deck, you can go ahead and check out my Patreon. For the people that don't know, I'm trying to buy a new camera. The camera that I have right now is a little outdated. It's not working how we need it to be. It actually is really hard to record and give you guys videos because of how outdated the camera is. It won't let me see the screen while I record on a different, like a TV or whatever. So I am looking to get a new camera, so anything helps, guys. I appreciate that. And you guys can get exclusive content from the TheCaliEffect, as well as for the non-paying people, you guys can, you know, see deck profiles and stuff. So I just want you guys to go ahead and have another media outlet for you guys to see the TheCaliEffect King of Games on. So that is it for the 60 card deck. I don't think there's really much else to explain. Mill as many cards as possible, summon as many Infernos as possible. If you can get your feast off, get your feast off. Let's talk about the last and final option, which is the budget option. Okay, so the last and final variant was the first variant I was actually playing when we streamed, except I revised it and just made it better. You guys are going to see some cards that are going to be like, God, TheCaliEffect, why aren't you running this? I already tried it. Really bad idea. So starting off with the just straight up budget version of Darkest Diablos Lord of Lair Structure deck. 3 copies of the Darkest Diablos. This is your strongest card in the deck. You're going to summon this card as many times as possible. Getting 1 in your graveyard and 1 in your hand, or 2 in your graveyard, is probably the most optimal thing to do because you can continuously loop it to your side of the field and then use this effect to tribute cards to put cards from your opponent's hand to the top or bottom of their deck. 3 copies of Arima, the Wicked Warden. This card will search your Diablos or search your Lair of Darkness. 3 copies of Lilith, the Lady Lameth. So we do run a 3/3/3 right here because every single one of these cards are extremely important to the concept. I feel that the structure deck did a really good job of providing us some really powerful monsters. The downside, it didn't provide us enough powerful monsters. So when I was building this deck, I felt that these 12 cards, the Lair of Darkness included, were the most important cards to get into, and I needed to get into them as fast as possible. And I'll be able to explain that a little, actually, right now, because the complementing monsters will probably blow your mind. 3 copies of Destiny Hero Malicious. 2 copies of Destiny Hero Plasma, 2 copies, or I'm sorry, 1 copy of Destiny Hero Celestia, and 1 copy of Destiny Hero Drill Dark. Yes, we are running the Destiny Hero engine, and it serves so many awesome purposes in this deck. So Drill Dark plus Celestial, you summon these 2 monsters, you can get Isolde to your side of the field, which searches the Malicious, because getting Malicious to your graveyard is probably a good thing. Destiny Hero Plasma is a really nasty card in this deck. I was actually going to do a mystery card video on it. It just didn't pan out how I wanted it to pan out. Basically, you can tribute 3 monsters to summon this card. I'm pretty sure you can only tribute your monsters to summon him. You can't tribute your opponent's monsters. You're not activating a card effect. But you can tribute 3 monsters to summon this card. And then when you do, you can select 1 monster on your opponent's side of the field and then equip it to this card, and he gains that monster's attack. But more importantly, he's a walking skill drain. All your opponent's monsters' effects on the field are negated. He's a really strong card. The fact that we can pump out so many tokens to our side of the field makes him really easy to summon. And then summoning him is almost free because you can gain your effect of Diablos. He's a level 8, he's a Dark, and he's a Destiny hero. There's just so many great things going with this card. I don't often summon him. When I do, it's just really devastating for the opponent. But he's a really good trade-in, a Lair of Darkness, and Destiny draw fodder. Malicious is just really good for this deck because it combos so well with Lilith, and it also combos well with Arima. Being able to get this card to your graveyard and tribute it with Lilith, or tribute it with Arima, will unlock the ability to either search the Diablos with Arima or just have a monster in your field inside of Lilith for some additional protection. So this card's just really good. I don't care about drawing multiples. I just want to get 1 effect off or get it to the graveyard once. So I don't run any tuners. No Plague Spreader. Also, no Mass Change. Mass Change just wasn't in the stars when it came to this. I really wanted to be able to summon Alicious, turn it into a Dark Law, and then some type of virus my opponent because all their cards get banished. And that was just awesome. But I really went for consistency over here. I'm not saying that you guys can't run it, but I really wanted to show you guys a consistent version. And then lastly, 1 copy of Grindy Boy. Cards just, I can't give him up. He gives you free tokens, and he does so many great things for you. He pairs really well with Plasma. So, because you get the 2 tokens, and then if you get a 3rd token, you summon Plasma and you suck them back up. You're like, this is mine. So, that's it for the monsters at 17. For the spells, 3 copies of Lair of Darkness. Obviously, I want to get into it. And then there's where the Destiny Hero cards play a huge part. 3 trade-in, Grinder Golem, Destiny Hero Plasma, and Diablos are all targets. 3 copies of Destiny Draw, Malicious, Plasma, and Drill Dark, as well as Celestial all targets. 3 copies of Lair of Darkness. There isn't a single target in your deck. You're gonna power through your deck really fast, and that's what this deck is good at. Just getting into what you need. Like I said, the most important card was being able to loop your Diablos, and that's gonna help you a lot. 2 copies of Scapegoat, Link Fodder, and it's just a really good card for Plasma Food. It's good for defending you. It's just so versatile inside of this deck. Enemy Controller, you can tribute your opponent's monsters to take other opponent's monsters. It's just a really good versatile card as well. Dragon Shrine, because getting that Dragon Darkest Diablos to the graveyard is pretty important. And then Foolish Burial, because not only can it send Darkest Diablos, it can send Destiny Hero Malicious from your deck to your graveyard. I felt that this was a really consistent build because you can consistently plow through your deck, power through your cards, and get whatever you need. I didn't run any hand traps, not because I'm saying hand traps are bad or anything, because I know that this is a budget option, so I'm going to give you guys the option to play whatever hand trap you want and take out whatever you want. The most easiest cards to take out are your enemy controllers and scapegoats. They're not as important as they seem. Next for the traps, 2 copies of Mind Crush. I wanted to run 3 because after you full force virus them, or errat them, you get to see their hand, and then you can Mind Crush whatever else you need. Crush Card Virus is also decent. Deck Devastation Virus is also decent. I like Crush Card because literally every single card in your deck, or you can make a Crush Card target almost any time, as opposed to the Full Force and the Eradicator. They're a little harder to make, but ultimately, that's it for the deck. For extra deck, literally just play a whole bunch of links. Play whatever you want. I want to say the most important card link-wise, there isn't a most important card link-wise. You can even try to fit in that Mass Change to try to get that Dark Claw combo off. I hope you guys do, but it was just really hard for me. It just didn't work that well. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. I hope you guys enjoyed these 3 deck profiles in one. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy. I hope you guys are having a great day like I am.